push into the corner. There we go. So that's all done. Where am I going to store this? Well, I might store it in the bay over here. Oh, hello. Who put that there? Dear oh dear. Drop that there. See if I can... I think I messed up. Yeah, I messed up. This is not a big tractor. Okay, anything could happen. There now. Fixed it. Okay, that managed. Normally I would use that on the JCB, that weight. It's here, so I think I'll grab it on the back of this. And go and get this off to the field, because we have work for it to do. And yeah, I'm leaving the narrows on. Okay. So, the second part of harvest starts today. And we have, I think, 3 crops to do now. I can't do the sunflowers till the crops dry out. And I think now that we're in fall, we're going to have a lot of incidents of dew in the morning, so our crops are going to be wet for a fair amount of time early in the day. We probably won't get to harvesting until 11 o'clock maybe. That's one of the reasons why we're including sugar beets and also potatoes this year. Well, potatoes because the DLC came out. So the nice thing about potatoes and sugar beets, I don't think you can harvest them when it's raining, but you can harvest them when they're still wet. you can't destroy them once they've been topped, so doing this means I can drive over this field with anything. But prior to that, you have to equip narrows. I'm not sure narrows actually helps with crop destruction 2.0. Probably need to run this around the edge for a couple of headlands, so we'll do that now that we've headed straight across the field. We don't seem to be killing anything with the narrows. There are some bits where I drove over the edge of the field. Heading up to this clover field here, I think we clipped the field with the baler and the mowers, stuff like that. So kind of need to watch for that in the future. I'm missing some of the edge here. Now, in spite of the field size, this is one of my most valuable crops. I haven't tried potatoes yet, but sugar beets, the income per acre is much higher than anything else that we plant on this farm. Tend not to include soybeans or corn. Corn primarily because I don't need it, and it's not usually human consumption corn that is grown in the UK. They tend to prefer to grow wheat or oats. And any corn that is produced is usually animal feed. Again, either silage or more frequently, I think, ground. Yeah. West Country, where this farm is, typically sheep and typically wheat cereal type stuff. But as I said, because of how the weather works here, or the weather works in game, I have included sugar beets for a number of years. The sugar beet, the tractor hauled sugar beet harvester is good for the price. I don't like I haven't liked the potato one because it doesn't have a good capacity, and it has very poor working width. Obviously, the self-propelled potato harvester is better because it has a good working width, but still it's £500,000, and I can't really justify doing one small field and paying £500,000 for a harvester when my main harvester's only valued at about 200,000, and that's what I use to do all my other crops with. Okay. I'll take that out. As I said, if I didn't have something else to do, I'd usually set this off on a worker. The workers are very good at this particular job, especially in a tractor this big. They don't work well if you hitch up the the harvester to the same tractor. But when it comes down to harvesting, I'll be using a worker to harvest for the most part, and then running cart with one of the other tractors. Again, because of the equipment we're using, we can use the smaller vehicles. Don't have to use the Class or the Challenger for this job. We didn't treat the weeds this year. This field is looking kind of bad with the number of weeds on it, so I might deal with them next spring. I'm not sure what crop I'm going to put on this field next. I think the season's crop rotation suggests oilseed is going to be a better crop to put in this field. And you'd follow cereals with a sugar beet crop. With precision farming, I really don't know if that makes any difference at all. The big difference is the nitrogen content, and sort of getting away with planting a cereal crop and then following it up with oilseed, and the oilseed needs little to no nitrogen infusion, while following the oilseed with a cereal, you need a ton of fertilizer on the field. So it's the expense of fertilizer every other year as opposed to every year. I don't know. I mean, because of the size of this farm, I'm planning to use the new Grimmer DLC to harvest our potato field, and I intentionally picked a small potato field to plant because I haven't used that equipment. It doesn't have a particularly favourable operating width. I think that's most of what I missed. Oh, no. Come on, tractor. Go, go, go. And also because Maize Plus and the farming agency map, I do need sugar beets, I don't need potatoes to feed the sheep. So at least, I'm probably, I'm not sure, I got to do a crate count. I'm probably going to do another year with 30 crates of sugar beets. We may eventually need to create 45. I might not create crates anymore. The thing is, I discovered that while this map has added triticale, spelt, and the other one, something else as additional crops, there was no modification made to the farm silos. So the farm silos only accept the regular base game crops. I've added a 1 million litre extension silo mod to the farm silo, and that does allow me to hold sugar beets and potatoes and all of the new crops like triticale spelt. I can't remember what the other one is. But anyway, and also all of the grasses, so I could store clover in there and clover hay. Now we're set up for baling operations for clover, so I'm not going to specifically be storing that in the silo. It's an option. The sugar beets and the potatoes, however, I might just consider it because I've only got one goods storage area, dry goods storage area out the back of the farm just before you hit the sheep field. And we did store a huge mountain, about 1 million litres of sugar beets there one year, and I decided I'd do smaller fields, not do quite so many. Now the thing is I mean, with things like the potato harvester and a big 16-row potato harvester, potatoes were added, I believe, as an expansion to Farm Sim 15. I didn't play Farm Sim 15, so that's not definite, but they were included as a main crop in Farm Sim 17. And the last expansion we got in Farm Sim 17 was the Roper DLC, which, as far as I was concerned, was yellow potato harvesting. Oh, is it potato harvesting? Might only have been sugar beet harvesting, but there's been very limited addition to the potato harvesting equipment available in Farm Sim. And I've actually watched videos of potato harvests on YouTube, and the new equipment that we just got, I was saying, yeah, we need this. Basically what I'm talking about is, where is it, potato technology. These things here, which dig up the potatoes and drop a windrow, or I'll drop a windrow off to the side, and then a collector that comes in afterwards. That's how many potato harvester guys do it. And it's sort of, why can't we have that? Because at the moment we're stuck with that stupid 1.5 meter wide harvester that fills up in 5 seconds, and it's just a pain to work with. Now the big self-propel stuff, yeah. But it's it's sort of, why are we doing things like this? Why don't we have small cotton harvester equipment? Because the entry point for a cotton farm is $500,000 to buy the harvester, and even then you're probably getting the case harvester, because the John Deere is $750,000, and you need some good sized fields to plant your cotton in. And we still haven't considered the tractor that you're going to need to run the planter, and the seed and everything else. So it's an expensive startup for a Farm Sim farmer. Cotton is probably going to end up being something you add to the farm rather than something you start with. And that's not necessarily the case with sugar beets. I can get started for less than 100,000 by buying a tractor hauled harvester. In some ways, it's possibly cheaper to get into sugar beets than it is to get into cereal crops, unless you go for one of the really small one of these things. Yeah, if you limit yourself to this, okay, it's 100,000 to get into harvesting. You want something reasonable, you're talking 200,000. With sugar beets, I can buy one of those 100,000, one of those 22,000, and I only need a 200 horsepower tractor to haul that, and we're all good. And that tractor can do a lot of other work on the farm, which obviously a $200,000 harvester can't do. But potatoes doesn't, potatoes is just hard work, because the small equipment kind of sucks, and the big equipment is really expensive. So you're in the same boat as cotton harvesting. It's an expensive job to get into. Could I have a tractor-hauled cotton harvester? So it's something I can do as entry level and work my way up to the bigger equipment. Much like this farm, we've started off with a small harvester, 10,000 or 8,000 litre grain capacity, 25-foot header. But I could afford now to buy a bigger harvester. I kind of don't need to, because it's not limiting my ability to do all the harvesting I need to get done in the time I have available. I could buy a bigger one, and it would make the job easier, but I've currently got, it's day 2 early fall, so there's today and 7 more days, so 8 days left of fall, and I haven't checked the weather report for them at the moment. And we've got 2 sunflower seeds, two sunflower fields to cut. So it's not like I'm really pushed for time there. I could have 200 acre fields. I could still finish that in the 7 days I have available. Now once we get up to 15 arable fields, it might start being a challenge, and with the weather and the wet mornings, I might need to consider a much bigger harvester in order to complete harvesting in the available time when the crop's actually dry enough to harvest. How is I don't think, even we harvested this field in about a day, so it's really when I get to 9 fields possibly that we're going to be challenged on that's what I was going to look. Oh yes, we did need to. Well, I did say they were going to need food, but weather. Cloudy today, sunny tomorrow, raining on Monday, raining on Wednesday, snowing on Friday. Today is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's not good. Day 8 of 4, we're expecting, they're forecasting snow. I don't know if we're expecting snow, but we're forecasting snow. That might be a problem. But I think our clover is ready to cut, so I can cut that. That's not going to be an issue. We've got a couple of days to do that. Sunflowers again, we've got today and tomorrow. I expect to have possibly both sunflower fields harvested today. don't think I need any more clover hay. I think I will need clover silage. I will probably do a couple of clover, just straight clover bales. And say, I've got a couple that I've had issues with the sheep fields accepting just straight clover, in spite of the fact it says they should. So I might be short on the grass clover for winter, and obviously you can't harvest the grass and store it. I probably can actually, because of those that silo extension. Maybe later we'll drive a cart under there and see what I can put in it. But I don't like, doing something that's atypical. So cut the grass and stick it in the silos. That's not really a thing. And animal owners will tend to store hay to feed their animals over winter, not grass. Because, especially not since under the game rules, it disappears like magic. But we do know clover doesn't disappear. I just haven't succeeded in feeding the sheep clover yet. As time goes, we'll figure that out. But, how are we doing here? I'm doing okay. And this isn't particularly this is one of the reasons why I tend to do this on a worker, because I can just leave it to run up and down the field while I go and do other more important stuff. So maybe as the crop dries out, we'll set this off on a worker and just go off and harvest our sunflowers. I could do a harvest. No, I can't do a harvesting contract because it's wet. And I missed one on that corner too. No, I think that's okay. I think we'll keep hitting those as we slowly make the field smaller. I really need to make sure that I write down the ideal nitrogen amounts for the various crops we're running here, because it's good to refer to on successive years. I have a vague idea generally what we need, and we over nitrogenated our clover on this first year, so our clover has still got too much nitrogen in it, but as we harvest it, that nitrogen content is dropping. So eventually I will end up with clover, possibly the next cut, which is at or below ideal nitrogen levels, and maybe we'll get a higher yield at this next cut. And I think the other thing with the 16-row potato harvester is I'm not really sure that there is much incentive for modders to create them either. You look at how many people actually